death into our lives, into practice every day, not to fall into the traps of loving Muslim.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You're asking because this also relates to the khutbah, the remembrance of death. How do you remember death every day? In reality, there are millions of reminders of death. Let's look at it in a very big way, okay? In a very big scale of things. In reality, there are millions of ways to remember death. Because every day that you're living in this world, there are millions of reminders of death. The wisdom, the secret, is taking that reminder and putting it in your life. Why am I saying there are millions of reminders? Is this hidden knowledge? No. Why do I say there are millions of reminders? You say, Bilal. In the news, all the time, there's death everywhere. Especially death that is specific to Akhir Zaman, where Prophet ﷺ is saying, one of the signs of the Akhir Zaman is when the one who's killed, he doesn't know why he's being killed. And the one who's doing the killing, he doesn't know why he's doing the killing. Correct? I'm not just talking about, say, Muslims. I'm not talking about just terrorists. I'm talking about people who belong to regular army, soldiers. They don't know why they killed, and they don't know why they're being killed. But there are millions. This is one of the big things. Every day you turn, everyone now is more hooked onto the news than we were, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Correct? Everyone has this in their hands, checking. This is the death of humans, people. If it's not war, it is terrorism. By everyone, by regimes, by governments, by groups, by religious people, and by non-religious people. No one has a monopoly on terrorism. It's everyone who is doing it. Sickness. You're a doctor. Every day you're reminded of sickness because that's your profession, isn't it? But let me ask you now, how does one, for example, who is dealing with death all the time, say you're a doctor, how do you not remember death when it is there? I'm picking an extreme example, and you can take it from there. Because now, you have to agree with me, right? There are reminders of death everywhere, just by the news. Sickness, wars, what else that we have? Conflicts, what else that we have? Accidents, what else that we have? Through the selfish desires of people, by tyrannical regimes, the destruction of this world. Now we'll talk about death. It's not just humans. Death of this planet, where we are not slowly killing this planet. We are very fastly killing this planet. The humans, people, when they smoke, you destroy the lungs. And science has said that if you stop for 12 hours, this is what's going to happen to you. You stop smoking, your lungs start to rejuvenate. You stop smoking for 24 hours, this is what's going to happen. 7 days, 40 days, 70 days, things start healing itself. The lungs is very important, correct? What is the lungs of this planet? The rainforests. It's getting destroyed every single day. Don't just say, oh, this is because of the third world countries that they're cutting the rainforest. Who are they selling their wood to? Their own poor people? If there is no demand for it, they're not going to do it. If they're not put in a situation where you have to do that, they're not going to do it. So we destroy the lungs of this world, of this planet. We destroyed the water, correct? We destroyed. So now when you look at death, death is everywhere. You say, maybe this is remembrance of death if I'm an adult person who thinks. If I'm a child, I don't know. No, you know. The food that you eat, it has to die for you to eat. Chicken, everybody loves chicken. Chicken has to die. Hamburger, it comes from the beef. They have to die. Everything now, in reality, it has to die for you to eat, for you to consume, to give you life. But what makes, for example, the kids who are growing up not to remember death, as what makes the doctor not to remember death, although there are thousands and millions of scientists screaming to him every day? What is that? Speak only from your personal experience, because Prophet ﷺ is saying the best kind of knowledge is the knowledge that you experience. It's not knowledge that you read, it's what you experience. That time you can share it to people and they can taste it.
From my personal experience, we see death so much that we have to actually put a veil in front of us because we won't be able to function.
Right. So now it's not because the death is there, but you have put veils in front of you. You put a veil. Understand? They don't want to remind death to these kids. They don't want kids to be reminded of death, correct? They say, we eat chicken, but they never see that the chicken actually is not the chicken you find on your dinner table. Is not those chicken cutlets. Chicken is not even the raw chicken that you get from the supermarket. Chicken is a live animal that you have to cut. But when the kids are not exposed to death, to understand what is sacrificed to give us life, you've already put a veil between them and the real world from a very young age. Let's speak about them. So now you say chicken is a chicken breast. Chicken is not this chicken. So when you see later on in your life animal being killed, you get very messed up. Because they don't want our kids to remember death, to understand that. Because once you understand that, now if you celebrate killing something, you know that you're an evil person. Doesn't matter which religion you come from. If you like killing something, you're an evil person. Doesn't matter if it's human or an ant. It is forbidden. Then you see how your kids are growing up. Forget about that. From a very young age, we gave them games that is all about killing. Correct? All these computer games that gets into their head, gets into their minds, is all about killing. It used to be maybe they kill zombies. Now they kill people. Now they have games that kills other people. Now they have games. Of course, there's so many games out there where the enemy is a Muslim. Correct? And you're shooting up Muslims. So what are you teaching now your kids? Although they're seeing death every day, their hearts become more and more and more veiled, more and more and more dead. So the thing is not whether the reminder is there or not. The thing is to remove the veil. We are up here, alhamdulillah. Today it's a little bit warm, a little bit humid. In a few more months, it's going to be white everywhere. It's cold. Snow everywhere. In a few more months after that, green everywhere. We have 4 seasons, alhamdulillah. It changes. That teaches, I like it, that kind of temperate climate. I like it because it teaches us what? The cycle of life and the cycle of death. How do you take away this veil from you? Number one, you remind yourself what it is. For some situations, you have to put a veil to deal with the problem. If you are dealing with death every day, you have to put a veil because your work is more important than how you feel. If you're a person who is already veiled from that, your problem is to remove the veil. How are you going to remove the veil? Let's say, from you. How are you going to remove the veil? Two things Prophet ﷺ said, Shaykh Effendi said so many times. What are they? To remind us of death. Let's see if anyone remembers. Anything? Women's? Two things. To do two things. Yes? No. Not makams. Yes? Visiting the graves. You're always changing and twisting things. Huh? Visiting the cemeteries. Didn't he say cemeteries? Didn't he say graves? Because maqam is different. You're supposed to do that, but you go there to remind you of the afterlife, to get more power, to get more energy. But you go visit the cemetery that we have up here. The cemetery is not maqam, it's a cemetery for you to sit, for you to understand, I know this person. I ate with him. We prayed together. We had a friendship, and he is here. I buried him. I dig up the earth with my own hands, and I put him there, and I covered it. That is also my place. One day I'm going to be there. Before we talk about prisoner between two breaths, let's talk about what happens after the prison. Entering into the grave now. One is visiting cemeteries, to go to visit. Visit with your heart, visit with intelligence, visit with tafakkur. Visit to go there, this will be me one day, soon. Maybe it is today, maybe it is tomorrow, this is real. Then you start to wake up a little bit, you understand? And what's the other thing that he said? To go, to do. Visiting the sick people. But our society, especially in the West, has been so shielded from any death, any remembrance of death. Anything that reminds you of death, whether it's animal or humans or nothing, everything is just life. Fake life. That you live in reality your whole life fearing death. Running away from it, but it is something no one can run away from. That means you don't prepare. If you don't prepare, how good can your life be? This is for believers who believe that there is going to be a life, that the reality that there is going to be a life, this is nothing. Our real life is going to start. Those who don't believe, who are saying, yeah, we believe in death, but nothing is going to come, so we have to live it up. These words are not for them. I will say other words for them. If you don't believe that there is going to be another life, then don't even sleep. Don't sleep. You must stay up the whole time. You must enjoy yourself. Let your ego to run wild. Taste everything, do everything, because you only get one chance. But after that, everything is finished too. That means that it turns to nothing. This is what Hazrat Ali Karmallah Wajhah said. Because people ask him to say, how you know there's going to be a life after death? We're all going to die. Maybe everyone is going to die and everyone's just going to be nothing. Maybe there is nothing. And he says, if it is nothing, we live our life the way that makes us happy. Because that man is saying, why are you torturing yourself? Worshipping and doing all these things. Live it up. Enjoy yourself, because you're young only once. You may die tomorrow. So Hazrat Ali is saying, we are doing what we love doing. This is our life for us. If we pass from this life and there is nothing and we stop at nothing, then it's nothing. But for you, you spend your whole life just chasing after your ego, but that becomes nothing too. So we are the same. See? But at least for us, we're living according to our spirit. Because if you live according to your animal characteristics, you're just going to end up destroying everything around you before you die. This is what you do. So you have to remove the veil. These are the two things, simple things that you can do. You don't do it. You cannot do it. In the old days, this is built into our lives, built into our societies. Visiting graves or visiting sick people. Understanding death. Being reminded of that. This is built into society, Muslim and non-Muslim. In our own families, children, our mothers used to give birth to so many children. Some made it, some didn't make it. From a very young age, you understand what death is. You step out of your house, you see poor people, you see sick people, you see people who are dying. You're reminded. But in this kind of society, they remove everything. They remove all the undesirable things that reminds us of death. In the old days, where do they build the cemetery? Somewhere in the corner for nobody to see? No. They built the cemetery right in the center of the city. Everyone passing to look, to remind. We have one cemetery here, correct? How many times we pass by it in a week? How many times we just take a split second just to remind us? I don't mean to suddenly fall into meditation and to think. No, just a split second. Look, they are buried. At least for you to renew your shahadat. Are we saying you're going to remember death and you're going to get so fearful, you're going to get so depressed? No, not like that. You cannot carry that. But the idea of death is what? That there is going to be accounting. That there's not going to be any more chance for us to go back. How are you going to remember death? These are the ways. Then understand, what is it that makes us to put a veil between us and the remembrance of death? What is it? One thing, let me tell you, what the Holy Prophet ﷺ said. That nobody seems to be doing these days because everybody loves to do it. Muslims and non-Muslims. 24 hours. If it's up to them, they want to do this 24 hours. What is that action? Anybody knows? That it kills and it deadens your heart. Say, laughing. Yes, laughing. 24 hours. Happiness is something else. Laughing is something else. Prophet ﷺ said, if you know what I know, and if you're an awliya Allah, you should know at least a little bit of what He knows, correct? It says, if you know what I know, what? You're going to laugh little and you're going to cry a lot. Why are you going to cry? Because you know, you understand, you think, you meditate. You go through work like this. Okay, for example, what are you doing? You're a construction worker. You construct. If you have intelligence, what you're constructing for anyone, say for example, you are hired to do some work. You realize, and say, what a difficult life these people are living. Life is easy, but look how much difficulty they're making. You have to build this, do this, put this, isn't it? You have to lay the foundation, you have to put this, and you have to put all the lines, and you have to put all the insulation, and you have to do this, and it's so much. And when we die, what do we do with this? Is this going to save us? No. You bring death into it. And it's true, it's not a stretch, you're not stretching. Because I remember one time I was working, and it was for this very big house. I was helping out someone. The house was huge. It was like 4 floors, okay, in Long Island. It was a very big house. One of the living rooms is as big as this masjid. I'm not kidding you. As big as this masjid. And it's 4 floors. A woman was building it for her husband. Husband died. Now she's continuing to build it. And I was saying, what is this for? You understand? What is this for? A woman is about to, she wants to leave it to her family. It's good. The family will also die. Then you leave it to who? Oh, for the next family, for the next family. So, but in reality, you bring nothing with you to the grave. That's why in Islam, you don't get buried with anything. Just with a piece of cloth. A white piece of cloth you wrap up and you put. You came into this world with nothing, and you're going to leave in this world with nothing. Correct? Alexander the Great, Iskandar, not Zulkarnain, Iskandar. When he passed from this world, he was the conqueror of the 2 easts and the 2 wests. Allah has given the ruling of this world only to very few people. Anyway, Zulkarnain. But with Iskandar, he said, when I pass, if I die, when I die, not if, when I die. It says, display my body, cover my body with a white sheet, but make sure that my arms stick out like this. Not close like this, stick out like this. Holding up to the sky. As a reminder to the people to know that even if I conquer this whole world, when I die, I have nothing in my hands. We pass from this world with nothing except with our good intentions and our good actions. Pray your prayer as if it is your last prayer. So at least 5 times a day. As believers, we are under the obligation to remember death. At least 5 times. And the Prophet ﷺ says, if you remember death 40 times a day, you die that day, you'll die as a martyr, as a shaheed. You will not be questioned. So remove the veil. 1, yes, too much laughing. Because Muslims now, they say that you must laugh 24 hours. It kills the heart. What do you mean it kills the heart? It's no good to laugh? What are you saying? We have to be miserable and serious all the time? I say, no. But there are different ways of enjoying, different ways of happiness, different ways of understanding and tasting without laughing. Because the action itself, laughing, you know how it is. You laugh and you laugh and you laugh at something funny. You try to find something funny in everything. Even when something is not funny, you will laugh. Even when something is tragic, you say it's funny. Even when something is very serious and something is evil, you'll find it funny. Why? Because you have not tasted it. If you have experienced that pain, that tragedy, you're not going to find it funny. Now we have Muslim stand-up comedians. And that is forbidden to do that. Especially for a man to stand up and to make fun of people and other people and everyone to laugh. It kills the heart. 1 full hour, just laughing, 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 laughing. Laughing, doing everything without thinking, without tafakkur. So now we come into tafakkur, we come to meditation. Meditation, it is everything. Meditation, tafakkur is how you're going to remove the veil. So now you're doing your work, it is working tafakkur. You're eating tafakkur. Of course you can do that. You're outside looking at the animals, you walking, tafakkur. Everything that you're doing now, you're going to connect things together. You understand? Then what do? Remember death. It may come. You renew your shahadat, at least. You're going to say astaghfirullah, at least. You're going to look at what is important. What is not important, you should not let it to bother you. Because when you don't remember death, everything becomes important, isn't it? Because you want to make your life to be paradise. And for your life to be paradise, even a little bit of wrong, it is very, very, very serious to you. As Shavan is saying, you cannot fight with anything. They make you to fight with your own self. You fight with your clothes. You find everything to be miserable about. So inshallah Rahman, we must find ways to remove the veil. We must find ways to understand and to think. This is what Quran is saying. Allah is saying, think. You must think. Even in the passing of the day and the night, there are signs in it for men of understanding. How can you watch the passing of the day and the night, or the passing of the sun, or the passing of the seasons without being reminded of death, without being reminded of the creator of death, without being reminded of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You understand? So important thing is what? Tafakkur again. When you have the tafakkur, whatever that you're doing in this world, in this life, you will tie it with the afterlife. You will tie it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will. All you have to do is to sit and think a little bit. May Allah forgive us, inshallah. For us, Murid, especially for us that went through the veiling of our Shaykh, it's not that difficult, isn't it? It's not that difficult to remember death. All we have to do is to remind ourselves of our Shaykh, and if we're doing that, then we know that he's passed. Then that remembrance of death is just a start-off point, a jumping-off point for us to do other things. You cannot be stuck there to just remembering death. Remembering death is just the beginning. It just starts the engine. Once the engine is started, then you're going to go somewhere. May Allah forgive me. Al-Fatiha. Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.